Always a pleasure to welcome Jeff Paterson to the program from Canucks Army in rink-wide Vancouver. And J-Pat, let's start with JT Miller's return to the lineup. He didn't play a ton. I think he was fifth lowest on the Canucks in ice time. But what did you make of his return on the ice and I guess also off the ice? Like, is there any awkwardness there as he returns to that room?
Yeah, let's start with the off the ice. Met the media yesterday after the morning skate, laid down the ground rules. You've probably seen the clips there, and I think it all went very respectfully. Now, we didn't learn much. He wanted to keep it to hockey, and the media members, for the most part, there was one question that he thought sort of towed the line, prying a little bit. Didn't want to answer that one, but there's still a lot of intrigue and mystery about the reasons behind his 10-game absence, but he was back, and I like the way they used him. They eased him in. They got a lead last night. They built on it. That's something that the Canucks haven't done very much this year, especially compared to last year. That was their secret sauce. They jumped on opponents and then extended leads. Last night to get a 2-0 first period lead, that gave Rick Tocchet a little bit of flexibility to be able to roll all four lines and not lean on guys. So Miller played, 14 minutes, had a couple of assists on the power play. Lots of good things in his return. And it is funny, and we've all seen this, guys. One player comes back into the lineup, a key piece, and everybody else just sort of falls their natural spot in the lineup. And the Canucks looked sort of as stout as their 12 forward man group as we've seen in quite some time. So getting JT Miller back helped in a lot of ways for the Vancouver Canucks, and certainly on the scoreboard, a 4-0 win over the defending champs.
How did the market react to JT kind of controlling the narrative yesterday and saying, hey, look, I'm not going to answer or talk about my situation and why I was out? I mean, this is a mostly unprecedented thing. He decided November 19th. He returned yesterday, December 12th. The Canucks played 10 games. They went 5-3-2 without him. They survived, but still a highly unusual thing, even if it is not nefarious, to then not address it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Just don't see this where a star player steps away for a personal leave and doesn't provide the answers that I think the marketplace is looking for. And it was mixed out here. There was a big segment of the fan base that thought, hey, we pay the freight here and the ticket prices. We deserve some answers. And then there were a lot of people that were like, hey, this is a human being. Like, yeah, he's a hockey hero. But these guys have issues as well. And, just let him be and let him sort it out. And for him to step aside and the Canucks to hold their head above water as an organization in his absence. And, really, it has been remarkable when you think of all the pieces that have been missing from this Vancouver lineup, from Thatcher Demko to Dakota Joshua, Brock Besser, JT Miller, and for them to have the record they do at 15-8-5, like, it really is commendable. It hasn't been pretty all the time, but it's been pretty effective. And to get some of these guys back now, and Miller's such a big piece of the engine of this hockey club and the heart and soul and the way that he plays, they were missing that. So, I mean, look, we may never get some answers, or maybe we will when JT is ready to reveal a little bit more. He's not an open book necessarily, so I'm not expecting that at some point he's going to ask us all to gather around for story time and bring us inside his world. All I know is that he says he needed to step away. He's in a better place. And we'll see what he does here moving forward. But, for a lot of guys, if you step back in the lineup, whether an injury or this sort of absence, if you go 3 or 4 games and you're not productive, I think you start to wonder about your game. Where is it? And for him to jump back in, have a couple of assists, contribute on the power play, and to get a win over the Florida Panthers, like, that checks a lot of boxes for JT Miller and for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, no doubt. And also, perhaps more importantly, a quality win on home ice. This team has struggled so much at home this year. They've been really good on the road. Has anyone been able to put their finger on why these home and road splits have been so weird?
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons. One is, if you look at their opponents, they have feasted on really bad teams around the NHL out of the road. Credit to them. Those are the opponents that are on the schedule on a given night. But their road record really is on the backs of a lot of the weaker teams in the National Hockey League. So that's part of it. I also think they've won a ton of close games. They have ground out and found ways to get the goals that they needed. I think they have 3 overtime wins on the road. They scored in the final minute in San Jose after the Sharks had tied with a minute to go. Got a 3-2 win there. So they have found ways to eke out road victories where at home they found ways to lose. And the margins are fine in the NHL. And I think that's a big part of it. Part of it too, Frank, is, and I mentioned, like, they just, first of all, they haven't scored. They haven't opened the scoring very much. So they've been chasing a lot of games, particularly at home. And last night against Florida was the first time since opening night against Calgary that they had a 3-0 lead Now, can't bank on having 3-0 leads, but I'm just saying they haven't pulled away from opponents very often. And they've allowed teams to hang around. Even if they do open the scoring, it feels like, they open the scoring against Tampa earlier in the week, and then Tampa gets 2 quick ones, and all of a sudden the Canucks are back and trailing. And so there's just been a bunch of different things. And Kevin Lankinen, for whatever reason, has been a little bit better on the road than he has at home. But I also think quality of opponent. They've played some good teams here at Rogers Arena that they just haven't faced. And they will at the end of the season. Yeah. Play 41 at home and 41 on the road. So they've got a bit of a beast of a road schedule coming up through January and February, and that's going to be a real test for them.
Jeff, as always, man, appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this.
All right, guys.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Seravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.